Hello, doctors. I'm your host, Chip Fichtner, co-founder of Large Practice Sales, and you're listening to Practice Partnership, Monetizing Your Dental Practice. Hello, doctors. This is Chip Fichtner with Large Practice Sales. Today's topic is why so many younger doctors are partnering with Invisible DSOs. Out of our $1 billion of transactions in the last 24 months, 150 million of those partnerships were created for doctors in their 30s. And that's a fairly surprising topic to many doctors, but let's learn why. Invisible DSO partnership is not for every doctor. It involves a doctor selling anywhere between 51 and 80% of their practice for cash and remaining as owners and continuing to lead the practice with their brand, their team, their strategy, and full autonomy. But they benefit from the resources of a larger silent partner, and those resources will vary based on the invisible DSO that a doctor chooses as a partner. But we've had a big shift in the last 4 years to where more and more younger doctors are choosing invisible DSO partnership. And the reasons for that are very different for each doctor. So in the last 24 months, we've completed $1 billion of invisible DSO partnerships. And of that, 150 million were for doctors in their 30s. And that's a dramatic shift from where we were 4 years ago, where predominantly our clients were in their 50s. So the younger doctors are choosing invisible DSO partnership for a variety of reasons, which may be, one, they want to offload the administrative headaches of running their business and thus gain more time to spend with young families. Number two, many of these doctors have built great practices and they're eager to monetize a part of their life's work to create liquidity to have for other investment opportunities. And some of them are eager to grow their practice with the help of that invisible DSO partner, and yet do it without any risk or having to sign on bank lines. Functionally, their invisible DSO partner can provide them with all the capital they need to grow and yet take no risk. So there are a lot of different reasons that doctors of all ages choose invisible DSO partnership, but the younger doctors are becoming more and more aware of the benefits of IDSO partnership. Autonomy is always the biggest concern for every doctor, no matter what their age. And fortunately, the invisible DSOs have no desire to micromanage the practices that they partner with, nor to homogenize them to fit some corporate standard. They're only going to invest in a practice and become a doctor's partner because they believe that the doctor's current strategy, plan, execution, and what they do every day works. And so they don't want to change that. They don't want to break what they just spent millions of dollars investing in. And so therefore, they want to help the doctors in any way they can. They don't want to change the practices. And we prove that to all of our clients in our process, because before you choose your finalist invisible DSO partner to get married, you're going to meet the family, which means we're going to put our clients on the phone with other doctors who have had created partnerships with the invisible DSO that they have chosen. And so they can ask questions like, what changed? What didn't change? Are you glad you did it? Would you do it again? Did they do what they said they would do? Did you really have full autonomy? And the answer is always yes, because of their basic philosophy of, you're an owner doctor running a practice that we're partners in. We know you're going to make decisions like a partner, so we don't need to manage you. A practice that's doing a great job driving new patients through to their own marketing, no invisible DSO is going to want to change what's already working. The invisible DSOs will help you recruit by providing you with candidates, but it's still up to the doctor to select the team member that's the right fit for them and decide how to pay them and how to incentivize them. So the invisible DSOs will provide the doctors with a menu of services that the doctor can choose to use or not use. The only thing that's fairly consistent is the invisible DSOs are going to take over banking, accounting, payroll, benefits administration, compliance, credentialing, tax, legal, IT support, and vendor and payer negotiations. And after that, they're all going to be different. The invisible DSOs today, as they grow ever larger, have the ability to do a lot of things that an independent practitioner can't do. So, for example, as it may be obvious, they're paying 20 to 30% less for everything, including potentially team benefits, which, as doctors know, have gone up a lot in the last couple of years. And so, number one, they can provide the independent doctor with a cost advantage, reducing their costs and therefore increasing the profitability of the practice. In addition, we've had a big shift recently where the larger invisible DSOs have been able to negotiate better reimbursement rates with insurance payers. We're seeing some examples where the invisible DSOs are getting reimbursed at rates up to 20% higher than independent dentists are receiving from the same insurance companies. And so those two ends of the spectrum, reducing costs and increasing revenues, can provide a dramatic benefit to a practice. In addition, these groups are exceptional at recruiting. They have recruiting tools that independent dentists don't have, and they're better at things like marketing and strategy and deciding where you might want to expand and add an office, either through acquisition or de novo. So each of these groups have different resources, and so one of the important pieces of the LPS process is that we enable our clients to see multiple qualified bidders so that they can choose the partner that's the right fit for them. Because ultimately, this is a cultural decision as much as it is a money decision. You want to find the partner that you can spend the balance of your career with. I have yet to meet a dentist who's eager to hang on to figuring out payroll and administering the benefits packages and dealing with the tax and the legal and the compliance and the credentialing. So generally, all of those functions are going to be offloaded to the invisible DSO partner that has specialists or entire departments that handle each of those categories. So the doctor is going to free up a fairly significant amount of time to invest in better patient care, leading their team, or spending more time with their families. The invisible DSOs are really at the cutting edge of understanding the new technologies that are driving efficiencies in dentistry, whether that's digital dentistry or artificial intelligence, particularly in the diagnostic process. But the invisible DSOs, due to their size and resources, are helping dentists adapt or adopt new technologies to their practices. In addition, the invisible DSOs are able to provide resources for planning research data that helps the dentist compete within their area. And they also have the ability to create synergies among partner practices in the same regions, particularly true in the specialties where you have groups that focus only on pediatric, orthodontic, and oral surgery practices so that they can create locked-in referral networks. So there are a lot of different ways that the invisible DSOs can help their practice partners grow. And the good news is they're doing it without taking risk. The capital risk is being absorbed by the invisible DSO, not the doctor. And long term, the invisible DSO's goal is to increase the value of their equity for all shareholders, not just the investors, but also the doctors who have continued to be owners in this process. And so the potential upside return via the equity ownership that the doctor retains can be substantial. And we've seen well over 100 of our clients just in the last 2 years witness the value of their ownership increase by 2, 3, 4, and 5 times in less than 5 years. So the upside potential in the ownership that the doctors retain can be far greater than remaining an independent dentist and continuing to grow on your own. The determination of which invisible DSO partner is the right fit for a doctor has a number of different factors. It's not only the support resources that particular invisible DSO might be able to offer to a doctor, but in addition, You need to understand the capital structure, the plan, the vision, and most importantly, the investors in the Invisible DSO that you're considering joining, because each of them have different capabilities and have different track records in building not just other invisible DSOs, but perhaps in healthcare consolidation in general. And so some of these groups are relatively new, therefore doctors who join them are getting in on the ground floor. And history over the last 35 years of invisible DSOs have proven that when you get in earlier in one of these invisible DSOs as an owner, the potential upside can be very significant. As an example, we partnered one of our clients about 6.5 years ago with a relatively small invisible DSO with about 40 offices. So he was one of the early practices in that group. That invisible DSO today is approaching 700 offices. And so our client has seen the value of his $2 million in equity increase to about $15 million today. So he, in theory, took a risk by joining a smaller group, but he was rewarded for that with a 7.5 times return in 6 years. On the other end of the spectrum, we have some doctors that are very clear that they have no desire to take any risk in the equity that they retain whatsoever, and therefore we will partner them with groups that have been around for decades and may have hundreds of offices. Therefore, the potential upside in that ownership may be limited, but the risk is generally zero. The risks are varied based on the investors, the goals, the size of the group, their growth rate, et cetera. So it's important to understand all of the aspects of your potential partner. And frankly, that's what we are experts in. You know, there are over 1,000 invisible DSOs out there today, and we consider less than 100 of them qualified to bid on our clients. So it's important to understand all of the details. One of the interesting things about the invisible DSOs is they are very collaborative. You have a group of doctors that all have the same goal, which is to see the value of the invisible DSO as a group increase over time. And so these doctors are motivated and driven to share their experiences and what they've learned in their process. And the invisible DSOs management are eager to set up pathways for all of the doctors to collaborate and learn from each other. Most of them, for instance, will assemble all of their partner doctors together once a year. They will do weekly, quarterly, monthly conference calls, webinars, et cetera, where doctors can share what they've learned. And the interesting thing is they're not competing with each other. They're trying to help each other. When you join a local study club, which many doctors do, you're in a room with your competitors, and therefore you don't tend to share the secrets that make your practice exceptionally successful. Whereas when you're a part of an invisible DSO and a group of doctors that are all rowing in the same direction, you tend to get greater sharing, better learning, better mentorship that helps many of these groups grow their profitability and their patient satisfaction at a much faster rate than an independent dentist could. Culture ultimately trumps just about everything, because this is a group of people that you're going to be working with for the balance of your career. And frankly, they're all different. We had a female client decline to accept the high bid from a group because she believed that invisible DSO was functionally a fraternity. It was a group of hard-charging young male dentists predominantly. And she said, I'm interested in a group that has more female doctors. The culture of the invisible DSO is extremely important, because this is who you're going to spend the rest of your life with. And let's face it, doctors are spending 30 or 40 hours a week in their offices helping patients. And so it's important that you join a group that's the right fit for you, not just the day-to-day operations, but culturally, who do you want to spend the balance of your career with? The invisible DSOs, depending on the size of the one you choose, have extensive resources in ensuring that all of their practices are providing state-of-the-art patient care. Again, thanks to digital technologies, artificial intelligence. Ultimately, doctors will have to adopt these technologies, and they are, in some cases, expensive and in other cases, complex. And the Invisible DSOs are able to help all of their partner doctors understand and adopt these patient care changing technologies. I've gone on record to say, as I'm sure many other people, that artificial intelligence will ultimately have a dramatic impact in dentistry, and it will become the standard of care as it pertains to diagnostics. My guess is within the next 5 years. So doctors have to be ready to adopt these technologies. They have to understand them. In the meantime, they're trying to run a practice and hire more team members and grow. So the Invisible DSOs can be very helpful in ensuring that their partner practices are adopting the right technologies in the right way so that they can be leaders in their community in dentistry, not followers. There are doctors out there that we call builder doctors. Builder doctors are those which have built a practice or practices and are eager to continue growing via acquisitions or new build startup practices within their region. And builder doctors are very attracted to Invisible DSOs because they have the ability to access the capital and the resources of the Invisible DSO to grow without risk to the doctor. And so we've had a number of examples of our doctor clients that partnered with an Invisible DSO and went on to build 3 or 5 new practices within their region, each of which they had ownership in. And the Invisible DSOs are eager to help them do that because having a local vested operator, meaning the owner doctor, helps them be more successful as they try to expand. In other examples, younger doctors have benefited from the Invisible DSOs where there were synergies. We've had multiple specialists, pediatric dentists, orthos, oral surgeons who joined the dental trifecta Invisible DSOs and gained from other practices with the Invisible DSO from new patient referrals. So if you're an orthodontist who joins a dental trifecta Invisible DSO, you now have the opportunity to receive a big influx of new patient referrals from the pediatric practices inside that group that are in your area. And in addition, the pedos and orthos and the trifectas are referring to the oral surgeons. So we have multiple oral surgeons under 45 who have joined the dental trifecta Invisible DSOs, which saw their practices almost double within 2 years just because of all the new patient referrals they were receiving from the practices within the family, so to speak. The pedos and orthos referring to the oral surgeons.
Thanks for listening to Practice Partnership, Monetizing Your Dental Practice, a podcast from Large Practice Sales. Large Practice Sales is the largest advisor to GPs and specialists of all kinds seeking to monetize all or part of their practice. The key for doctors to maximize your practice value is choosing the right advisor and the right IDSO partner. At LPS, we guide our clients towards partnerships with IDSOs that not only reduce administrative headaches, but give you the resources to grow your practice bigger, better, faster, and more profitably. And best of all, with the right IDSO partner, you can create generational wealth. If you're interested in learning the potential value of your practice in an IDSO partnership, visit our website at largepracticesales.com, or you can email us at podcast@largepracticesales.com. Follow this podcast for more tips you won't find anywhere else on how to monetize your dental practice at the maximum value. Learn from LPS, which completed over $600 million in IDSO partnerships in 2022.